Hey, it is Monday, May the 2nd, and it is a beautiful day. The sun is out. It's springtime. I just love this time of the year. Know today that today is the day that the Lord has made. Today is it's a good day. You're awake, you're up, you're moving. Find some joy, find some blessing in it. Get outside. Make this day the best day that you can make it. If you were in church yesterday, our first reading from Acts 9, maybe the pastor preached on it, maybe he didn't. However, it's one of those passages that has a lot of lessons in it. Here we read about Saul, who will become Paul, being probably the biggest persecutor of the early Christian church. Now, the very first followers of Christ didn't call themselves Christians. Did you know that? As Acts 9 tells us, they called themselves the followers of the way. Now, I love that. What is the way? Jesus is the way, and they committed themselves to following that way, following in Jesus' way. Well, Saul was a Jewish man, and he was offended by these people who claimed that the Messiah was Jesus, and Jesus died and rose again. And so Saul thought he was doing God's work by having these early Christians, followers of the way, rounded up. He had them arrested, and he was trying to have them brought back to Jerusalem, thrown into prison, beaten, abused, you name it. And Saul he was going after these very early Christians. But in Acts 9, we read about Jesus coming to Saul. And Jesus could have done this in a number of different ways. He could have just came down and said, stop, knock this off. You need to just refuse to continue to do what you're doing. Jesus could have come in very forcefully. And in a way he does, as Saul has this very dramatic encounter with Jesus. But as we read Acts 9 in verse 4, Jesus' very first words to Saul are, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Now, if you read this quickly, you kind of miss the point that Jesus is making. At this time in Acts 9:4, Jesus is no longer on earth. Jesus has died, he's risen again, but now he's in heaven. He's at God the Father's right hand. And so when Jesus comes and speaks to Saul and he asks him, why are you persecuting me? We know that there's something more going on here, because he's not directly persecuting Jesus. Saul, before this moment, had never encountered Jesus. But Jesus, he's getting at something deeper here. Who is Saul persecuting? He's persecuting Jesus' followers. He's arresting children of God. Now, the point in the lesson that I take from this is, sometimes the different people we encounter in our daily lives, sometimes we can get annoyed with them. Sometimes we don't want to give them the time of day. Someone pulls out in front of you and you're in a hurry to get to work or to get to wherever you need to go, and you slam on the horn and you think, what are you doing? Or you're in line at the grocery store and the lady checking you out is taking her good sweet time, and you got smoke coming out of your ears. You're getting so frustrated. These things can happen in our lives, and then sometimes we do things and we act in ways that we know we shouldn't do. And I think here Jesus is teaching us that when we encounter people in our lives, every single person that you will see today is a child of God. And when they are followers of Jesus, when you react to them, when you treat them poorly, or when you treat them well and you're kind to them, it's as though you are doing the very same thing to Jesus Christ himself. When Jesus says to Paul, why are you persecuting me? He's reminding us the way we act to each other, the way we treat each other, it directly impacts Jesus. And when we lift each other up, we're lifting up the body of Christ. You are a child of God. The people you interact with are children of God as well. And boy, does that make a big difference. I'm so glad you stopped in for this weekly devotion. I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you again next week.